I'm going to talk a little bit about managing security within evolving ecosystems. Before I do that, for those of you that don't know Conax, just a few words about us. We are a leading provider of content security solutions for all types of networks, all types of devices. We have around 25 years experience in the industry. We're trusted by more than 380 operators worldwide. So, to the evolving ecosystem, the pay TV industry is changing. We see that a lot. It's moving faster and faster. The consumers are now expecting a more personal TV experience. They expect to decide what to watch, when to watch it, on which device, and so on, and also where to watch it. So inside the home, outside the home. This is a growing trend. There are new devices, there are new types of accessing the content. So what does that mean? Looking at the traditional pay TV operator, it used to be very simple, where they completely dominated the TV home. Through the set-top box, all the content was delivered over the broadcast service to the set-top box, to the main screen. Basically no competition. Then what's happening in the last couple of years is new OTT service providers delivering these new types of services directly into the home, bypassing the operator completely. Doing this mainly towards new types of devices like tablets, smartphones, PCs, and so on. This means that since the total number of viewings is relatively constant, the amount or the share of these viewing minutes for the TV operator is reduced. And it also means that some of these consumers are actually moving their subscription from premium subscription into OTT service providers, basically also moving the revenue from the broadcast operator into these OTT services. We also see examples of cord cutting, where they actually completely shut down their subscription with the pay TV operator and go only for these OTT services. This is something that the operator needs to fight back, and in order to do that, they need to look at an operator-centric OTT solution. I think the key word here is convenience. The content is everywhere. Everyone has more or less the same content, but fighting when it comes to convenience, providing the services in the simplest possible manner for the consumers. And this is a place where we believe that the pay TV operator has really a pole position. First of all, they do have the linear TV already. That's what they have been using so far, and linear TV is still very, very important. You have the news, the sports, which are naturally most interesting live, but you also have these new voting shows like American Idol and these type of services meant for live services. They have the possibility of combining these important linear TV services with new on-demand services into one combined solution. And thereby they can regain viewing minutes. For instance, they can do live TV into tablets and smartphones from their platform. That's very, very important looking at sports. You want to see that on other devices, except also not only the main TV. They can do more advanced services based on the linear TV. They can do catch-up, they can do network PVR on all devices. They can also add premium VOD, because there is a market for blockbuster movies, early release windows, and so on. People are willing to pay a lot of money for good content. That's also something you can add into the same package. And also, they can, and we see this actually a lot, we see that they can bring these third-party OTT service providers into their platform, providing this whole experience, all this content in the same solution, from the same remote control to the same user interface, making it convenient for the user to search for the content. So you can have a common search and recommendation engine. You have the same remote control. You don't need to, like you have to do today, you need to switch to your Apple TV box with a different remote. You need to switch the input port on your your TV. You don't need it. You can put everything through the set-top box, through the same user interface. That gives the pay TV operator a golden opportunity to provide the best of the TV experience. And that, of course, comes with some challenges when it comes to security. The consumers are now buying their own TV type of devices, tablets, smartphones, and so on. And in order to reach all these devices, which is necessary for the ultimate user experience, you need also to provide secure content to all these devices. How do we do that securely? Basically, two approaches has been tried. You can either do a single DRM, so deploying the same DRM technology on all devices, and thereby making a quite simple backend system. This is something that has been tried for years by actors like PlayReady and Marlin. We see that this is actually quite difficult to do, and it's also quite expensive solution because you need to install the DRM client as part of an application, and that DRM client then comes with a cost. The alternative approach is to do a multi-DRM solution, where you're using different DRM technologies for the various devices, and you build a backend that has multi-DRM capability. That's another approach that we see a lot more now. And I think this is going to be even more important. And we're looking into what's happening now, with, particularly when it's coming into HTML5 and the MPEG-dash support. What we see now is that all these big players in the industry, they are supporting HTML5, or they are saying they will do that, but they do it slightly differently. HTML5 makes it possible to do the same content with multiple DRMs, so it simplifies the delivery of the content. The problem is that Microsoft, for instance, they are building now DRM into their devices. They're building it into the Windows 8 platform, both on the PC and on the phone. And they're building into the Xbox. There's a PlayReady client already there. It's embedded in the platform. It comes included in the device, so there's no cost for using it. Google is doing the same, but they are using Widevine, which is their DRM technology. And they're putting that into the Chrome browser, the Android operating system, and also to the Chromecast devices. The problem is, of course, that both these players say very clearly that we will not support any other DRM than my DRM. So there will not be a native Widevine player in a Microsoft device, or a native PlayReady in a Google device. And already there you have a reason to do multi-DRM on the backend. Then you have Apple. No one knows what Apple is going to do. They probably know themselves, but they never tell anyone. They have their own DRM. I'm not sure if they're going to use it. The point is that you can still do a single DRM and simplify your backend, but it's a more cost-efficient solution to actually use the DRM that's already in the client and build a backend supporting that scenario. That's something that we're going to see a lot more in the coming year. So, in order to build a solution that provides all these types of services that you want to achieve for an operator, a lot of operators have started building this themselves. It's what I call a first-generation multi-stream solution. They basically start with some devices, a selected DRM, they buy a license server, they start a service, they have their, on the left-hand side, the broadcast system, on the right-hand side, the OTT system. Then when they try to add more devices, they need suddenly to introduce another DRM and another DRM. And then you end up with a multitude of DRMs to reach all the devices. There is also the complexity of the various streaming protocols supported by the various devices. In addition, there is quite a lot of complex requirements when it comes to the content license, the content owner requirements, specifying on which device are you allowed to use this content, for which period, for which region. Then you have the concept of concurrent streams, specifying how many streams from that content provider am I allowed to stream within the home. That actually goes both on the broadcast side and the OTT side. So for instance, if you're watching two movies from Disney, and then you want to start a third one, the system actually needs to close down one of the two in order for you to comply with the content regulations. These types of functionality is not supported by the DRM. The DRM doesn't give you a solution for this. So in order to solve this issue, you actually need to build rather complex functionality on the back-end side to manage these content for all devices, all this content rights, all these different streaming formats, all this fragmentation. What a lot of operators see now is that they actually need to do this in their backend system, and that's a backend system that is built to do business and not to do security. So it's rather complex for them. So introducing new devices and new services becomes really, really difficult for them. A different approach, an approach that we believe is the right approach, is to build a unified security backend that supports both the OTT services and the broadcast services from the same header, making sure that the content is secured on all devices, utilizing multi-DRM capability to provide content to all devices, and taking care of all these content rights for all devices, no matter which device, no matter which DRM. Then providing that to with an interface towards the business system that's really easy and just focusing on the business functionality. That leaves the operator the possibility to focus on his business, while the security backend will handle all these problems with the content rights and with the complexity of the various devices and the various DRMs. This also gives you a possibility to play around with the content when it comes to moving it between the platforms and between the devices. So services like for instance doing follow me, where you pause a transmission or a viewing on the main TV and move it to your tablet. Also using your secondary devices as companion devices, playing it together with the main. All this type of functionality, this convenience that the operator or that the consumer is expecting to be there, then suddenly becomes possible. Without having all this complexity in the backend system, the operator will focus on their business. That's a much better approach to this solution. I think I would like to wrap up with some words about security as a whole. When you look at security, you need to think holistic, because it's a large system that you're building. There's a lot of potential attack points on a system. I would just give a short example of something that we actually see a lot in the industry, where a pay TV operator has over years invested a lot of money on a really secure solution for their broadcast system. They have the best smart cards, the best set-top boxes, a really, really strong, good solution. Then they want to start OTT services. And what they do then, they take exactly the same content, they put it on an OTT service, which is basically available in the same area, and they do that sometimes with a really bad DRM, sometimes not even with the DRM. And the hackers are not stupid. They will always attack the weakest point. In this scenario, it means that all this investment in the expensive broadcast solution, the security there, is actually compromised because you then put the same content on a different platform without security. So you need to think holistic. You need to think about the security of the DRM. You need to think about the authentication. Authentication of users, of devices, making sure no one can abuse your authorizations. You need to look into functionality such as watermarking, making sure that content doesn't leak where it's not supposed to leak. And also you need to look at your backend system, because you're now taking a system that used to be a closed broadcast system and you're putting it on the internet. That gives you actually a possibility to attack the system itself. So, a word of caution, you need to think about security throughout the whole platform, the whole system. That's it. Thank you for your attention.